Okay, we're back in our heart document, and I just wanted to mention a couple things. With our zigzag shape here, our closed path, we have straight line segments and corner anchor points. With the other shape, with curved line segments, we have all smooth anchor points. And in the heart, we have a combination. We have a corner anchor point and smooth anchor points. Let's open a new document. We'll go into the File menu to open, and let's choose 01 4paths.ai and open that document. We'll go into the View menu and Fit All in Window. We see this document just has one artboard. And let's skip exercise A and move right on to exercise B. And so I'll hold down the Command key and spacebar or the Control key and spacebar to temporarily get my zoom tool. Click and drag around the B exercise, release the mouse, and zoom in. Now, we're going to place an anchor point where each of the black boxes is, and this exercise is good for learning how to determine in what direction to drag with the pen tool. Now we're going to get in the habit of first selecting the white arrow and then the pen tool, and I'll show you why in a minute. It's because when we use the keyboard shortcut to get to an arrow tool, we want to get to the direct selection tool. So first click on the white arrow and then the pen tool. Now we're going to come down here. We notice that next to the pen tool is a little tiny X, which means we're getting ready to start drawing a path. Now I'm going to click and drag in, starting with the first black box. I'm going to click and drag up. I'm dragging in the direction that the next line segment is going to go in. So I drag up, and then I click on the next black box and drag down. Now I'm not going to try too hard to match the template exactly right now, and just get into the swing of the movement. So click and drag up for the next one, because the following line segment goes in that direction, the one we anticipate. And then in the next black box I'm going to click and drag down, because that line segment goes in the downward direction, the next one that we're going to create. So I click and drag click and drag up because the final one is in an upward direction, and then don't forget to also click and drag in the final black box to finish off the shape. Now I'm going to hold down the Command key on a Mac or the Control key on a PC, and I'm going to start moving these direction handles until my path gets a little bit closer to where the template is. So the shortcut to temporarily access the white arrow is going to be to hold down the Command key or Control key. So you can see I'm moving the direction lines, the direction handles, in order to reshape those line segments. Now when it comes to select the next line segment, I'm going to click on that line segment, and we see the direction handle on either side of that line segment. We have smooth anchor points here, and I'm going to pull down on that direction handle, and I just keep moving the handles until the line segment gets pretty close to our template. Now we probably won't be exact because we're probably not exactly in the middle of each black box, but I just want to show you how to select each curved line segment and adjust the direction lines in order to modify the curved line segments. Now, when we're done, don't forget to click away with the white arrow in order to deselect. So I'm just going to click in some white area and deselect that line segment, because if I don't and I start drawing the C exercise, it's actually going to connect to the B exercise. So I want to deselect first. I'm going to hold down the Option key and spacebar or the Alt key and spacebar to get my grabber hand, and I'm just going to move the page up so that I can see the C exercise. And then I'm going to go back and click on the white arrow and then the pen tool, because when I use the shortcut to get the arrow, I want it to be the white arrow. Now next to the pen tool, once again I see the little tiny X next to the icon, which means I'm getting ready to draw a new path. And this time our path is going to have a radical change in direction. So as before, I'm going to click and drag upward because that's the direction of the next line segment. and I'm going to click and drag downward to make that line segment. But this time I'm going to add the Option key or Alt key and swing that handle up. So now I've broken those two handles. They're independent of each other. And I'm just going to swing that handle up, and then I'm going to release the mouse and release the Option key or Alt key, and I'm ready to draw the next line segment. So I'll click and drag down, add the Option key or Alt key, and drag up. Now those two direction lines are independent of each other, and I'm going to release the mouse and release the Option key or Alt key, click and drag down, add the Option or Alt key, and swing up. Because now the direction line is more in the direction of the next line segment I'm going to draw. So I'll click and drag down to draw that line segment, add the Option or Alt key, swing up, release the mouse, release the Option or Alt key, and then click and drag down in order to finish that line segment. Now I'll hold down the Command key or Control key in order to temporarily access the white arrow, and I'll do as I did before. I'll just start moving the direction lines, the direction handles, until the line segments start to look more like the template. So when I click on the line segment, I can see the direction lines coming out of the anchor points on either side, and I just move the direction handles until my path is a little bit more closely aligned with the template that we're tracing. And that's pretty close. Next thing I'm going to do is deselect by clicking with the white arrow in a space where there is nothing. So I'll click over here in order to deselect that line segment, because I don't want it to connect to the path that we draw with the D exercise. So there's how you draw a path when there's a radical change in direction. You hold down the Option key or Alt key before you click and move a direction line so that that direction line becomes independent. Okay, I'm going to hold down the Option key and spacebar, or the Alt key and spacebar to get my grabber hand, and I'll just move up a little bit like that, and go back and first click on the white arrow and then click on the pen tool, because when I use this shortcut to get to the arrow, I want it to be the white arrow. So now with the pen tool, once again, I see a little tiny X next to the pen icon, which means I'm getting ready to draw a new path. And I wanted to show you what happens, first of all, if you get disconnected. So I'm just going to draw some straight line segments here, just to show you what happens if I hold down the Command key or Control key and accidentally deselect that path. Now what if I want to continue drawing that path? Well, what I do is I roll over the last anchor point until I see a little slash, a little forward slash next to the pen tool. And that tells me I'm right over that anchor point. So I'm just going to click again and then continue clicking in order to continue that path. And it works the same way with curved line segments and smooth anchor points. If you accidentally get disconnected, just go back and roll over the last anchor point until you see a little slash, forward slash, next to the pen icon. Okay, I'm going to hit the delete key twice in order to delete that zigzag. And now I see a little tiny X next to my pen icon, which means I'm getting ready to start a brand new path. And as usual, I'm going to click and drag upward because that's the direction of the line segment that I'm getting ready to create. And then I click and drag downward in order to create that line segment. And this time I'm going to convert the second anchor point into a combination point, because you can see that it's a curve next to a straight line segment. And so we need a combination point there. And I don't have to click on the Convert tool in order to convert that to a combination point. All I have to do is roll back over the anchor point until I see a little tiny caret in the shape of the Convert tool and click once. Then, in order to get a straight line segment, I'm going to go to the next black box and just click once, because that's how we draw a straight line segment. Now I need to convert that anchor point to a combination anchor point, part corner point, part smooth point, and I do that by rolling over that anchor point until I see the little caret, the little convert icon, and then I'm going to click and drag down. And now I'm back to just drawing a curved line segment. I'm going to go to the next black box and click and drag up. And now I'm going to convert that anchor point by rolling over that anchor point with the pen tool until I see the little caret, the little convert tool icon, and click once. Now that's a combination point, part smooth, part corner. And I'm just going to click once at the next black box in order to make a straight line segment. Now to convert that anchor point to a combination point, I'm going to roll over the anchor point until I see the little caret, the little convert tool icon, and click and drag upward. And now I'm ready to draw a curved line segment. So I'll click and drag down. And hold down the Command key or Control key in order to temporarily access my white arrow, my direct selection tool, and I can move these direction lines in order to adjust the path. I just keep holding down the Command key or the Control key so that I have temporary access to the white arrow in order to adjust these direction lines. And then, in order to deselect, I'm going to keep holding down the Command key or Control key, and with the white arrow, I'm just going to click over here where there is nothing in order to deselect. So there's how you make combination anchor points, where you have some curved lines intersecting with straight lines. Now one more thing I wanted to tell you about the add and delete tools. I'm going to release the Command key or Control key in order to get my pen tool back, and I'm just going to make another zigzag shape using the pen tool and just clicking and clicking. Now, suppose that I wanted to delete one of these anchor points. I do not have to go back to the toolbar and get my delete anchor point pen tool. All I have to do is roll over an existing anchor point. And when I do that, I get a little minus sign next to the pen tool, which indicates we're going to delete that anchor point. So I click, and now that anchor point has been deleted. Now if I want to add an anchor point to one of these line segments, I don't have to go back to the toolbar and get the Add Anchor Point tool. All I have to do is roll over a line segment until I see a little tiny plus sign next to the pen tool icon, and then click. And now I've added an anchor point to that line segment. And if I hold down the Command key or Control key, I can temporarily access my white arrow direct selection tool, and I can click on that anchor point and move it. So you can move anchor points, and you can move line segments. So when I move this line segment, I'm actually moving two anchor points at the same time. So you can certainly move anchor points or line segments. And at any time, if you wanted to adjust a curved line segment, you can click on the line segment in order to see the direction lines, and then just click and drag on a direction handle in order to change the shape of that curved line segment.